Hey, this is Brother Jeff with eLearning Brothers, and I'm going to walk you through on how to get started with the Bootcamp Storyline game from the template library. So let's go ahead and walk you through how this game will work for the learner before we get into actually how to build it. Now, as soon as you come to this game, you'll see the very first thing is the introduction. It just basically gives you a logo with the continue button. And then at the next page, it'll tell you the instructions of this, and you can modify the instructions to match whatever you want it to have there. And then pretty much you just hit start from here. And this will bring you into the game itself. Now this game is very much like the game show game, if you're familiar with that already. You have up to 5 different categories, and then each category you have 3 different rows. Now the learner basically just chooses any one of those categories or any one of the squares here, and then they are presented with a question. Now each question has up to 4 possible answers. If you don't want all 4 possible answers, you could remove some of these from the stage, and I'll show you how to do that later. But what the learner basically does from here is just they choose what they think is the best answer. So if I think B is the correct answer, it'll tell me nope, that's incorrect, and I hit continue here, and now that one is grayed out, so I can't continue or I can't go back to that question, and I don't get any points added to my score. So from here, the learner will just go ahead and choose a different category, and if they get it correct, you'll notice that the points get added. I see some correct feedback, and I can hit continue and then go throughout the different questions until all of these questions have been answered. Once all of the questions have been answered, then they get a results page, a final results page, letting them know how they did and everything there. So that's how the game works. Let's go ahead and go into Storyline and show you how to build the game inside of your course. So if you have an existing course, you can just right-click, add a new slide, and then come into the template section, select the drop-down box, and select the Bootcamp interaction. Now, if you haven't downloaded it from the library, you won't see it there, so the first step would be to go ahead and just click on the download button, and then double-click on that file. And that file will install it inside of your Storyline install, so every time you're building a course, it will be inside of the template section when you want to add it to your course there. So alright, so with that selected, I'm going to go ahead and click on import, and this will import it into my course so I can start building it right inside of Storyline here. Alright, so once this has been added, you'll notice on the left hand side it gives us some instructions on how to get started with this game. And it tells us some variables, some important variables that we can change inside of the variables section or in the variables area from here. And it tells you basically what those variables do and the purpose of them are. So, and you'll notice we have a couple different ones of them. We have the bootcamp number of questions, we have the bootcamp row 1 points, and then the bootcamp row 2 points. Now, the way that you change variables inside of Storyline is over on the right-hand side. You'll notice a button with the X on it. Just select that and then go through the different, you'll notice all the different variables here within the game itself. Now, all these variables are necessary in order for the game to function properly, but anything that starts with the letter Z are variables that we recommend you do not change, or you may have some functionality not working there. So the things that you can change are bootcamp number of questions. By default, there are 15 questions. If you don't want there to be 15 questions, you can change that to 10 or 9 or whatever you wanted to. Just keep in mind that on the game board, if you go down to 9 questions, for example, you're going to have to move off 3 of those squares manually. And then the next thing is the row camp row 1 points. Now this is the point values that get added for each of those rows. And so the first row is 100, the second row is 300, and the third row is 500. Now, this does not update the game board. This will update the points that are added to the score, but you must also come into the game board itself and update the points for each of these rows as well, just simply highlighting it and then just typing in whatever number you choose there. Now, those are the different variables that you can get started with. That's pretty much all that you do at the very first, the title page. You can then come into the layer titled Instructions and then type out whatever instructions you want for the learner. The next layer is the game board. We talked about this a little bit already. You can change the category titles up on top here. You can change the point values for each of these. And then you can come into category 1, row 100. Now this is just a label. You can go in and change it to really whatever you want. And then also the question, you can even import images or shapes. For example, if you wanted a shape on this very first page, you can design it how you want, pretty much just by inserting it inside of your course there. And then you have the 4 options over on the right hand side. So if you don't want all 4 options, let's say you just want 3, you just simply move the last option over to the right hand side there. Now if you wanted to you notice here that the option B is the correct answer. If you wanted to change that so option C is the correct answer, then there's a couple things that you need to do. Coming over to the trigger side, you'll notice in option C we have a couple different triggers. We have set a certain variable to incorrect, and then we also have a show layer category 1 question 100 incorrect. Now these two things we need to change. First of all, we need to change where it says incorrect to correct, because this answer is now going to be correct. And then we need to show the layer, not the incorrect feedback. We need to show the correct feedback for category 1, question 100. Now, when somebody chooses option 3, this is now going to be counted as correct. Well, we need to now change option 2 to incorrect. So I'm going to go ahead and change correct to incorrect. And now I'm going to go ahead and change this from the feedback from correct to incorrect there. And that's pretty much it. Once I've done that, the learner will actually, well, no, one more thing I need to do on the correct one, I need to copy that and actually paste it inside of option 3, because this adds the points to the score. And so we don't want to add the points for option 2. We want to add the points for option 3. But once I've done that, this one is a little bit more complicated than other ones. But as soon as I've switched that over, now option 3 will be the correct answer instead of option 2 there. So now from there, I just go on to category 1, question 100, type in whatever text I want, insert an image, and then do the same thing with incorrect, and then go on to category 1, row 300. So that's pretty much it. You just work your way through the different layers and then come up to the final results page and adjust the feedback for the results page how you want. You'll notice this is where the quiz score, the final quiz score will be, and the overall points, actually percentage of how much they got right, depending on how much they could have gotten right. So, all right, and that's how you get started with the Boot Camp storyline game from the eLearning Brothers template library.